why we're so very lucky to have Marcy. Marcy Brownstein and her group of chefs are here to talk to us about spices and how to prepare foods and what we can make, and kind of like the things that you would never think of that are, I hope, pretty easy, because
yes.
I want to follow this.
Very easy.
And I love what Marcy
Everybody
says,
can do it.
one bite at a time.
Yep.
So we take it slowly.
Very slowly.
And I just want to say that Marcy and her chefs are really, this is, they're in kind, donating their time and their effort, and I think that these are the kind of programs that we like to run.
Yeah, it's great for us to be able to give back a little bit. What Dr. Axelrod did not mention is I'm a recent breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed and treated beginning this past March, and I finished my radiation in July, and I am on tamoxifen. I was very lucky. I caught my cancer early and hoping for the best. But the thing that's been very interesting for me throughout this whole process, because I am in the food business, one might think that embracing a lifestyle that includes cancer-fighting foods and a higher level of nutrition would be easy for me, but it's actually not. It's been very difficult for me, and I know that if it's been difficult for me, I'm sure it's difficult for everybody. It takes a real conscious effort to work these things into your diet, and I learned a couple of very, I think, good tips along the way. And actually, I'll tell you about them in a second, but the women that are with me today, I think some of them are in the pantry, prepping a few things that are going to come, but they work at the they're trained at the Natural Gourmet Institute, which is an incredible place, and they actually know a lot more than I know about all of this nutrition. So they're going to add and interject, and we're also going to take some questions afterwards. So I'm going to come to you from more of the cooking and culinary point of view, and any additional nutrition information they can help a little bit more with. A couple of the things that I've learned. I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was a physician said to me, losing weight is, if you need to lose weight, not everybody needs to lose weight, but most people probably need to lose a couple pounds. I myself know I need to lose weight. Losing weight is more important to preventing cancer than eating bad things is to causing cancer. So if you eat an occasional bad thing, or your diet is not 100% up to par, if you're overweight, that's way worse. So everyone needs to lose weight, basically. And I think what Dr. Axelrod said is also important. If you go to some of the website and put in your height and your weight and your age, and it'll spit out a number and a range. I am probably, I think, 5 or 6 pounds above my range, and it's a pretty liberal range. I mean, I have to be honest with myself. It's a liberal range, and I know that I need to lose weight. It's been very difficult. A couple things. Oh, and then what was the other thing? So losing weight is more beneficial to. There was one other really important thing, which I'll remember it. I want to talk. You guys all have a pamphlet that I put together, and I want to talk about, again, these are all things that I've learned that have been helpful to me. But I'm actually going to use this board since it's in here, and I think it'll be fun to use. A couple of buzzwords. I'm sure you guys have your head swimming with buzzwords. And not only about cancer, about every malady, every condition, and nutrition in general. There's buzzwords all the time. It's hard to keep up with them. Things that you should, things that you shouldn't eat. I think it can really be overwhelming. So I picked out a few things that I have found helpful to me that I think are really important to concentrate on. The first one, which Dr. Axelrod also mentioned, is whole foods. And I'm interested to know what people think whole foods means. What does that mean to you guys? What does whole foods mean?
No preservatives,
Okay.
adulteration, additives to bring down the price and get me to buy it.
Right, right.
Less processed.
Right. Anyone else?
What did she say?
What does whole foods mean?
Yeah, but what did she say?
She said less processed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, the definition of whole foods is foods that are unprocessed and unrefined, or processed and refined as little as possible before being consumed. If I look at something in the supermarket and it has more than like 7 or 8 ingredients, I'm not buying it. Unless the ingredients are all vegetables, or all vegetables and, healthy oils. I do not want to put any chemicals into my body if I could prevent it. And it's going to take a little bit of extra work on your part, because you're going to have to buy vegetables, and you're going to have to wash them, you're going to have to trim them, unless you shop at Cinderella, and then you can buy them already washed and trimmed. I do feel there's a little bit of nutrition loss by doing it that way, but I think that if that's going to get you to do it, you can afford to do it, because that little bit of nutrition loss is, is better than not doing it at all. So you just really need to eat things that are unprocessed. If you look at Wonder Bread, or a typical supermarket bread, there is nothing in there that is beneficial for your body. You need to eat whole grains, fruits, vegetables, herbs, lean protein, fish, organic if possible. I know organic organic can be very expensive, and everyone can't afford it. It is becoming more affordable. As more and more people embrace it, the prices do come down. If you have access to farmers markets, which everybody that lives in New York City does have access to, especially in season, the prices are actually really good. If you go to a farmer's market, it doesn't necessarily have to be certified organic. You have to talk to the people that run it, talk to the farmer, because as long as they're using organic practices, if they're not certified organic and they're not spraying and using pesticides, it's just as good as organic. And you will be surprised. If you go to the farmer's market in up through October, November, you can get a head of kale this big for like $1.50. And in the supermarket, that same head of kale might be $3 or even more, because they sell it by the pound. So you need to take a little bit of extra time to seek out these whole foods. I just kind of can't stress it enough. Anything that has like tons of ingredients in it, and I'm just trying to think of some, maltodextrose and flavors and additives, just don't eat it.
Now they have a lot of genetically engineered food, and that goes for fruits, vegetables, and they're planning on the genetically engineered apple.
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me.
And frankenfish.
Yeah, and that's another reason to try to eat organic if you can, or try to eat, fruits and vegetables and meats from the farmer's market. It is very frightening to me. But then again, as Deborah was saying, we have to pick and choose our spots. I mean, we have to, everything in there is a certain, logic to everything in moderation. I mean, if we're eating McDonald's or cheeseburgers and fries, and white bread, and canned or jarred things on a daily basis, you're probably better off eating non-organic fruits and vegetables, even those that are genetically modified, irradiated, or genetically modified seed, than you are continuing eating the processed foods. So you need to start. However you can start, you need to start.
But the irradiated foods, the radiation, this has not been studied for a long time, but the radiation does not linger.
Supposedly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's creepy. Personally, I think it's creepy. And if I know that it's irradiated, I won't buy it. I'm sure I'm buying and eating things that I don't know are irradiated. And the truth of the matter is, if you go to a restaurant, even the highest end restaurants in New York City, most of them don't use organic meat. Most of them don't even use organic vegetables. Sometimes now it's like in vogue to kind of say that, on the menu where the meat came from, and this and that farm, and that's great. But even many very expensive high-end restaurants do not use organic meats, fruits, and vegetables. So you just need to really, really watch it. A couple of other words that I think are really important: whole grains. What whole grains are cereal grains that contain bran and germ, as well as the endosperm, in contrast to refined grains, which only retain the endosperm. this is really important. Again, I'm not a nutritionist, so but I feel this is important. What I've really learned is when I eat whole grains and a lot of fruits and vegetables, I am not hungry. I'm not craving the sweets, the junk, anything. You know, I have to walk through a kitchen at any time in a given day where things are being prepared, where like 100 items might be being prepared. Anything from foie gras to, you know, brownies to, you know, tuna tartare to filet mignon to everything in between. And to not walk by and grab a taste each time I walk through it can be very difficult. And after I had my baby 3.5 years ago and I was on Weight Watchers before I had cancer, I found it very difficult. But now that I'm really emphasizing whole foods, whole grains, fruits and vegetables in my diet, and I'm not on a diet right now. I need to be, but I'm not. I'm not really hungry. Like I'm not craving anything. I don't have that urge to pick like I used to have. So it's really amazing how you're gonna really be filled up and really not need to eat all those other things once you kind of get into this. A couple of other words I think are interesting. Ancient grains. I don't know if you know what ancient grains are, but ancient grains are grains and seeds that remain true to their original genetic form. Just like the other lady was saying, so many things have been, you know, mutated and mixed with other things and changed. But there are all these really interesting grains out there, like quinoa, amaranth, barley, farro, wheat berries, they're grains that have been around for thousands of years. And they're kind of having a resurgence, and they're really good for you. And you know what? They're nutty and they're tasty and they're good, but you know, they can also be a little dry, a little chewy. They're great. You mix them in with other things. You know, you use them as an ingredient. That's the thing I think that really throws people off, because if you try to, you know, just eat only the things that, you know, are on this list of things that are these must-eats, they can be really boring and really kind of bland, and you have to figure out a way to integrate them into a bigger recipe so that they're appealing enough to put into your daily repertoire, because it has to be part of your daily repertoire. It can't be just every once in a while. And so I'm hoping that some of the things that we're demoing today will show you that. High fiber, we touched on that already. Cruciferous vegetables, I'm sure, has everyone heard of cruciferous vegetables in here? Cruciferous vegetables are plants that belong to like the cabbage/mustard family. Broccoli, broccoli rabe, collard greens, kale, cresses, turnips, among other vegetables are all part of the cruciferous family. And from what I've learned, girls, you can interject also if you want, these are like the most important vegetables, like for everything. I mean, is that true? Not only cancer. Cauliflower is one, yes.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, they're,
Bok choy.
yeah, yeah.
What they do is they, just they're metabolically, they decrease 16-alpha hydroxyestrone, which is a very potent estrogen. And it's, you want to turn that ratio between the 2-alpha and the 16-hydroxy, and that's why it's beneficial in breast cancer.
Okay. Especially for hormone positive cancers.
Yeah, but also in people who are not affected, who want to reduce their risk.
Okay.
I worked in the lab at Rockefeller, the gentleman who kind of discovered indole 3-carbinol, which is the active ingredient in cruciferous vegetables.
Interesting.
Yes.
Does cooking affect it, or high heat affect it?
Well, apparently cooking does not affect it. I mean, there's a whole raw food movement, which is a very important thing, movement, and it's a whole discussion onto itself. But from the nutritionists that I have spoken to about cruciferous vegetables did not emphasize raw. Now, you guys might have a different opinion about that. They said that raw or cooked, you're going to get the same benefits. I'm not sure if that's true. I personally feel, again, my personal philosophy, and I don't practice this necessarily, but I do feel that a certain amount of your diet should be raw. I went to an iridologist a million years ago. An iridologist is someone who looks into your iris and tells you what's wrong with your body, and it's a very interesting science.
What is it called?
Iridologist.
Iridologist.
Yeah, they look into your iris, yes. And she was an herbalist and I'm not gonna, it's a tangent, I'm not gonna go to this tangent, but basically her philosophy was 30% of your diet should be raw foods. How about 10%? You know, throw in 10%. Raw carrots and vegetables and, you know, fruits. I think that it's fiber. I think that's what's really great about it, is once you cook the vegetables, you know, some of the fiber kind of.
And also, don't you carry around the carrots and celery?
Yes, that's one of my tips at the end, but something that is helpful for me when I'm dieting and when I'm just, you know, now that I'm on the cancer reducing diet, I find that something that really helps me is, let's say once a week, I go to the supermarket or the farmer's market and I buy whole carrots. I don't really like to buy those little carrots that are already peeled, and I don't know what they do to those carrots, but, and again, if it's that, eating those carrots over eating McDonald's, eat those carrots. But I buy nice, you know, beautiful carrots and celery and, you know, sometimes peppers or something, and I cut them up. I cut them up into like stalks, and I put them in the refrigerator in a glass container filled with water. And they stay crispy and crunchy, and when I get home from work, I take a few out rather than eating the cheese and crackers that my husband is eating, or well, if I'm cooking dinner, which is not that often during the week, I'll, you know, eat some of it while I'm cooking dinner. I also eat a lot of pickles, but that's a whole other story. I lost my baby. I lost my baby weight with pickles because it was the only thing that like didn't have any calories that satisfied like my crunchy salty. So I think that if you can cut up a whole bunch once a week, what I'd like to kind of teach you guys is if you can do a few things once a week and then use those things throughout the week, that's a great way to start. Because you can take these few things we're going to make once a week and combine them in all different ways. And you can, you know, add them to a meal. You can use them as your whole meal. You can bring them to work. And you know, it's difficult sometimes. I love my husband, but I have a very unsupportive husband when it comes to food. It's hard because part of our history together and our life together was always revolved around food. We've always been totally into food, totally into cooking, totally into, you know, all different kinds of meats and, you know, just foie gras and all of the things that you really shouldn't eat. And once somebody really shouldn't eat those things, the other person should really support them. But I think that sometimes it's really hard with an identity of a person or a couple. So I have to really kind of figure out a way to do the things I need to do and sneak it in. You know, I try to get him to eat the stuff too. He likes vegetables, but it's been difficult. So I know that if it's been difficult for me, it's been difficult for a lot of people. So let's see here. A couple of other words. Mushrooms, very important for cancer. They have anti-tumor properties. They're immune enhancers. Lycopene, which Dr. Axelrod spoke about, especially for, well, I think it's probably healthy for everyone, but especially for prostate cancer. If you can make, I mean, even if you bought an organic jarred tomato sauce, but if you can make a tomato sauce, make it once a month and freeze it, make a big pot of it, and you know, just put it in small containers in the freezer. I mean, it's a great thing to have on hand. Antioxidants, they're substances that protect the body from oxidation and degeneration. And then the other really important thing, which kind of falls under the kind of grain area, the beans, the legumes, the peas, in conjunction with certain whole grains, they form a complete protein, which is a great substitute for meats and fish, you know, a few times a week. I'm going to talk a little teeny bit about, let's see here, a couple other things. You know, the internet is an incredible source of information. It can be overwhelming, but if you, I mean, it's an incredible source, and if you have time to kind of play around and learn a little bit, and there's great recipes and great ideas. The other thing is that, you know, going out to eat, I don't know, do people have trouble figuring out what to order in a restaurant, or is that not really an issue here? Everyone okay with that? Yeah. No, you're not okay with it? Okay. What I like to do when I go to a restaurant, again, it's so that I lose weight and I fight cancer. And in losing weight, fight cancer. I order a soup before whatever, I'll order something else, but I'll order a soup. Preferably non-dairy based vegetable soup, or even like a V8 or tomato juice. The tomato juice in the V8 is gonna have a ton of vegetables and your lycopene, and it's gonna fill you up. I'm trying not to drink as many cocktails. I haven't quite gotten down to the 3 a week. Dr. Smith told me 2 a week, by the way. I haven't quite gotten it down to that, but I do try. But that's a great substitute as well for a glass of wine. You have a tomato juice or what have you. But the soups are really, really filling. Soups are an incredible, incredible thing. And then also Evelyn told me that, I don't know where all of you guys are, and I don't know how many people are survivors or how many people are in treatment, or how cancer has affected your life. But Evelyn and I were talking, and she actually helped somebody that has late stage cancer, and she takes this person to chemo and cooks for her. And when they go to chemo, she brings soups. What kind of soups do you bring, Evelyn?
I make lentil soups.
And she likes a lot of spices, so you use all the staining spices.
Because she doesn't have taste buds. Her taste buds get damaged with the chemo, so I try to season things with the spices that she likes. She has this like Indian, Middle Eastern.
Which are great for cancer. All those staining spices are very important for cancer.
Well, we invested in a thermos. I bought a thermos that keeps it very hot, and I'll cook in the morning, and I'll also bring a green tea, Kokicha tea that she drinks throughout the day because she's going from chemo maybe to a doctor's appointment, and she's not always hungry, but she knows that she needs to have something to eat before she starts the chemo. So we prepare food and we take it with us to the hospital because they don't give her anything to eat.
I mean,
they give them pretzels and
right. I mean, like NYU. I mean, they're great. They give lots of nice snacks and everything, but they're not that healthy. They give the Nutri-Grain bars, and they give cereal, and coffee, all different kinds of coffee, and tea, but I think that if you really are going through something like that, you really need to be eating whole foods. So going back to the restaurant ordering, like the soups are great, and soups are just so comforting and delicious anyway. And you know what? Just order a lot of vegetables, even if it's not for cancer prevention, just to fill you up. We need so much less meat than we think we need. I mean, I can eat a 16-ounce steak. I mean, I could eat a 16-ounce steak without a problem. And I love a ribeye. It's like my favorite thing in the entire world. But we're supposed to eat like 4 ounces. And it's like when you look at 4 ounces, it's like not very much. Of course, I like the bone and the fat and the grizzle.
And it's surprising when you, because I was reading in preparation for this about just what a portion is.
I know.
It is when you go out even and you order wine. We are we are exposed to much bigger portions, I think, than years ago.
And then the rest of the world also. America. Have you ever been to Chicago? Wow, those portions are huge. I mean,
They have big people there. But it's also in the palm. What fits in your palm is a portion.
Yeah,
right?
it's true. Except for vegetables. With vegetables, you need to eat more than that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can eat as many vegetables as you want. And you know what? You have to watch the fat and what they're cooked in and all of that. But to me, even like vegetables cooked in fat, if it's a good fat, which we could also talk about, is much better than eating too much animal fat. Avocado's great, olive oil. There's a lot of different oils that I actually have some samples of some different oils and stuff that I bought over there for you guys to look at. Eat a lot of vegetables. Order a ton of vegetables. Even if you have to order like 7 side dishes of vegetables to make up for what you really shouldn't be eating, just do it. You can order a pasta with vegetables. Baked potatoes are great. Sweet potatoes are amazing.
Any kind of pasta?
I mean, whole grain pasta is really the way to go. But you know what? If you're in a restaurant, they don't have whole grain pasta. Eat the regular pasta. Don't make yourself crazy. At home, eat your whole grain pasta. But if you're at, you need to live your life. Personally, I'm starting to like the whole grain pastas. I really do prefer regular pasta. But I'm trying, and I have a kid who doesn't eat enough.
Everything is white.
And so I try to sneak things in it, you know, they have that sort of like multi-grain fiber pasta that's lighter in color, doesn't taste as much, but it's, you know, I still prefer the regular Italian white stuff, but.
Brown rice pasta is really good. It's French Italian. Zignata, yeah, that's
Really?
really,
It
really
doesn't
good.
comes in
reheat well,
peach
but
shapes,
it
too.
tastes awesome, you would never eat it.
Yeah.
What is that? What did you say?
It's
Brown
called
rice
Piccanata
pasta.
brown rice pasta, and they have it in spaghetti. It's like, it's a purple wrapper, and they have it at Whole Foods, but they also have a great one at Trader Joe's. They're just their brown rice pasta, it tastes great.
I'll try
I've
it.
seen that in markets like everywhere now, that brand is popular.
Way better than the wheat.
Yeah, much better.
Doesn't have the gritty thing.
This lady right here could teach us a lot. I'm gonna introduce her at the end. A couple more home tips, and this is like where it starts getting like really important for cooking. We have 3 different dressings that we made here that we're going to be serving. We're not only using them for salads though, it's not like a salad dressing. They're a dressing that we're using to, for pilafs, whole grain pilafs, dressings that we're using with cooked vegetables to make like a, kind of a salad, but a cooked vegetable salad. Dressings that you can use as a sauce, dressings that you can use to dip vegetables in, you can use them as a sauce for meat or fish. They're so easy to make, and everyone thinks that dressing's hard to make, and everyone buys bottled dressing. Dressing's like the easiest thing in the entire world to make. You take some good oil, you take some acid, whether it's vinegar or lemon, you take some different flavorings of different kinds, and you like shake it up in a jar, and you put it in the refrigerator, and it can last the whole week. And you can use it for all different things. It's a great, so we have 3 great dressings that we're gonna be using. I'd also like everyone to try to make 2 whole grains a week. Even if you make 1 on Monday and like 1 on Thursday. And mix them up with different things and use different, you're gonna see a few different ways that we work with grains. If you need to lose weight, you know, there are a million tricks that you can do, but one of the tricks that I love is like, you know, if you're making mashed potatoes, I'll do half mashed potatoes, half cauliflower. You know, it's just tastes lighter also. It's kind of better in a way than, you know, mashed potatoes on their own. And then I already told you guys about the peeling of the vegetables and keeping them in the fridge. That's really important. You also need to add a lot of herbs and spices to things. Herbs and spices have a lot of cancer-fighting properties to them. I have some turmeric here. I also have some on the side if you guys want it. I don't know if you've ever worked with turmeric, but if you want to smell it, it's a really neat herb. And I don't know what the cancer-fighting properties are that it has, but I know they have cancer-fighting properties.
It's anti-inflammatory.
Okay. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We basically have 4 stations set up. And let me tell you what we're gonna be making. You have recipes in your booklets here. We are making 2 different grain dishes. Over here, we're making a quinoa and brown rice with raw vegetables and beans. And that's gonna make this a complete protein, by the way, because the quinoa and the beans together. It has a tomato black olive vinaigrette. We also are gonna be talking about, we're not demoing these, but we're talking about basically like a veggie burger or a veggie cake. You can take any leftover grain that you've made during the week and turn it like into a veggie burger. You need to bind it with something most of the time, whether it's if it's egg or if you're trying to be vegan or vegetarian, you could use ground flax. I don't have the recipe for that, but the girls can talk to you a little bit about that. But it's great, you just take whatever grains you have left over, form them into a patty. I like to saute them because I feel you get a little crispiness with it, but if you are really trying to watch your weight, you can do it in the oven.
These veggie burgers have bulgur.
Oh, they are made with bulgur? Okay. Is no quinoa in it?
None of those.
Oh, okay.
Unless they change the recipe.
Then over here, we're doing a brown rice with pecans, apricots, fresh basil, and a tamari sesame dressing. We're gonna be doing a sauteed kale with lots of garlic and lots of onions. And then we're doing a steamed kale with a tahini sauce. I did a lot of kale for a couple of reasons. A, it's like really versatile. I just kind of wanted to show you the 3 kind of ways with kale and see how different they are. You know, with the chips, the sauteed, and then the steamed with the tahini sauce. It's really very different. And so I don't know if you guys wanna just stay where you're seated, or if you kinda wanna gather around, whatever you're more comfortable with. They're just gonna kinda be assembling. I just want you to see how easy it is really what I want you to see. You know, like, so the rice and the quinoa have already been cooked, but they're just so easily cooked. I mean, it's a pot and water and the grain and a little bit of time, really. And all you have to do is what we call in the kitchen mise en place, which is everything in its place, which is you chop up a bunch of things and you put them together, and you can do anything. I mean, almost anything you have in the refrigerator would really work. And I just want people to really see how easy it all is. So I'm gonna saute the kale, and everyone's gonna be doing a different little task, and then everyone's gonna taste everything. We're gonna put little plates together for you guys, and although
Should we all move down?
yeah, or you can gather around, whatever you wanna do.